Hello and welcome back to Burrow's Bottoms Fantasy League. Starting off on our video today, we're going to do a brief recap of the Week 4 waiver report. Juwan Jennings was the hot market item this week after his 46-point performance as three teams put in a claim for him, with Fom's Fantasia successfully claiming him and dropping Alan Lazard. Lazard didn't look too badly last week, so we'll see if that backfires for him. Moving on, we see Caleb's Dogs pick up Rome Odunze to stack with Caleb Williams. Bit surprised Rome wasn't already rostered, so it's a good pickup for Caleb's Dogs. Finally, we have our most active on the waiver wire in Pick and Six, making three different transactions this weekend, picking up Tajay Spears, the Titans defense, and Wan'Dale Robinson, some higher floor players replacing his boomer bust players on the bench. Pretty solid pieces in DK Metcalf and Nico Collins. Obviously, Juwan Jennings coming off of a big week last week. I don't know if that'll happen again against this New England offense. I think that Brandon Ayuk, while he may be shadowed by Christian Gonzalez, most of this matchup still could put up some big points like we have seen New England do with DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Joe Burrow had an amazing week last week. We'll see if he can do the same against a better Carolina defense than what the Commanders had, but we'll see what he can do. And George Kittle, back from an injury, going up against New England. I think that Kittle could be in for a big week this week. Obviously, with Brandon Ayuk being shadowed, and I feel like the Patriots will focus a little bit more on Juwan Jennings after that amazing week last week. I think that Kittle could be the primary pass catcher in this offense. However, I think that they're going to run it with Jordan Mason a little bit more. Moving on to Pick and Six lineup right here. Pretty solid lineup overall. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, Breece Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown, just basically first-round picks in the draft. Brock Bowers, I think he's going to eat up this Cleveland defense that has been all right, but hasn't been too great. Chuba Hubbard had an amazing week last week. Cincinnati's defense, as we could all see, was utter trash, and so I think he'll eat again in the Andy Dalton revenge game. And Kyler Murray just picking apart that Swiss cheese defense from Washington's front. I think that overall, Pick and Six has the much higher upside. I think that we're going to need to see some strong performances from Fom's Fantasia's players to really have a chance of being Pick and Six. Pick and Six is projected 2 more points than Fom's Fantasia, which, I mean, we'll see how that goes. It's really a 50-50 matchup. Obviously, neither of these teams have anybody playing on Thursday, so we'll have to wait till Sunday to really see how both these teams are going to do. And yeah, we're going to move on to our next matchup of the week, GT Rogers versus Caleb's Dogs. GT Rogers going for their 4th win, trying to maintain that perfect 4-0. And then Caleb's Dogs trying to get to that 3-1, get to a better spot in that East Division. That was so tough. We go to GT Rogers' team, we can see that he has very good pieces all around. Obviously, Sam Laporta questionable, leaving that last game against the Cardinals with a low ankle sprain, which isn't that serious. And it seems like they are going to try and play him again, but if not, we could be seeing a different tight end in place for GT Rogers. I think Jerome Ford could have a big week this week. We just saw the Carolina Panthers absolutely destroy that Las Vegas defense. I mean, granted, I think at this point, Andy Dalton played better than Deshaun Watson has over the last 3 weeks. Saquon is going to absolutely eat that Tampa Bay defense with their numerous injuries. Jordan Mason, I think that him and George Kittle are going to be the main 2 point scorers for the San Francisco offense. I think that Juwan's going to be game plan for. I think Brandon Ayuk is going to be covering most of the game with Christian Gonzalez. So that's a great start right there. Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold's been playing out of his mind, and Rashee Rice has the most receptions so far this year, and I don't see that slowing down any at all. Moving on to Caleb's dogs. Caleb Williams is a bit of a risky start in my eyes. I don't think that he's going to take 50-plus passing attempts this week. I think that we'll see some lower numbers than what we did. I don't think he's going to be putting up as many points. I think that LA Rams defense is going to be worse, but I think that they might try and run the ball because they said they wanted to get Roschon Johnson involved. DeAndre Swift hasn't looked too great, but I think they're going to bring that 52 pass attempts down this week. Kyron Williams against the Bears. There's no one really else on this LA Rams team. Maybe Tutu Atwell, but there's no one really there offensively, and I think Kyron's going to just eat. I think that Chicago has a pretty good defense this year, so he might not see as many yards as we would like, but if the Rams can move the ball down the field, I think that we see him getting pretty much all of the red zone touches, all of the touches inside the 10. I'm not too scared about Kyron Williams. Bucky Irving here. This is an interesting start. Obviously, he's backup running back. He's the number 2 running back in this Tampa Bay offense. I think that Bucky could do a lot. Maybe not against this Philadelphia defense, though, with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and all of them. I think that this is going to be possibly one of the worst starts this week. Jamar Chase coming off of an outstanding game against Washington. I think that he probably won't see as much volume against Carolina, but the volume that he does see, he will make use of it. I think that we could see him going for another 4 or 5 catches, 70-plus yards, and a touchdown easily this week. This Eagles secondary has been very lackluster, and I think Mike Evans could score a ton of points this week. Obviously, they've been favoring Chris Godwin in this passing offense in Tampa Bay, but we saw Mike Evans do pretty good in week 1, and I think that we could see him do better if Darius Slay matches up more on Chris Godwin. Kyle Pitts, he was about a yard away from a touchdown last week. I think that he will be like a consistent, 7-ish points tight end, and 7 points a game is great for what we've seen from tight ends this year. And yeah, we can see that Caleb's Dogs is projected 13 points lower than GT Rogers, so GT Rogers should have an easy win here. But you never know. There could be that Bucky Irving upside. There could be Mike Evans could go for a ton of yards, maybe even 2 touchdowns against this Philly defense. And we could see a big game from Caleb Williams against this banged-up Rams team. Moving on to our third matchup of the week, we have Mason Deserved It versus Steeler Virginity. Both 2-1 in the East Division. Mason Deserved It obviously being first because he put up the most amount of points so far. Mason Deserved It is projected 11 points higher than Steeler Virginity, which when we really look at Mason Deserved It's team here, we can see why. Lamar Jackson, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, even Devin Singletary have all been putting up amazing numbers this year. And this is why I think that Mason Deserved It could be the number 1 team going on for the rest of the year. Raheem Mostert might be back. The Miami offense isn't really looking like what it has been looking like, but I still think that Devon Achane will be fed. I'm just a little bit wary of Tennessee's defense. You obviously start him, but Tennessee has a very good run defense that is very underrated, and I think that we could see another down week from Devon Achane. Atlanta's run defense also pretty underrated, pretty good. Kamara, I think he's just going to get so many touches. I mean, he had 29 touches last week, so I don't think we see as many, but I still think that he'll be catching the ball a lot more than running it. And then CeeDee Lamb against the Giants. Giants secondary is a lot worse than their run defense, so I think that they'll be passing the ball a lot more. I could see the Giants really hanging in this game and forcing Dallas to not want to waste clock, and therefore they're going to pass the ball more. I think CD's in for a big week this week. And also Devin Singletary against this Dallas defense on Thursday night. I think that the Dallas defense has just been a gaping hole, an open gate, whatever you want to say. It has allowed so many points to running backs, to wide receivers, to all of it. I think that Devin Singletary is going to get a lot of pass work this week. Dallas is one of the worst teams against passing to the running back checkdowns. And so I think we could see a lot of work from Devin Singletary. Moving on to Steeler Virginia's team, obviously some good pieces in David Montgomery, Jalen Hurts. But I think that with Devontae Smith being questionable with concussion, I don't think that he's going to play next week. So he's going to have to go to the bench, which is going to be much worse than Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts won't really have many receivers. I think that it's going to be a very, very big Saquon game against Tampa Bay. But and then Travis Etienne, we don't really know much about this Jacksonville team. I mean, it's looked terrible from week 1 to week 3. I think that they need to figure it out and figure it out fast if they want any chance of making it to the postseason. I don't think they're going to make it to the postseason, but I think if Doug Peterson wants to keep his job, he needs to figure it out. And I don't think that Houston is a get-right game for Jacksonville. I think that Jacksonville is going to get absolutely slaughtered by C.J. Stroud and the Houston offense. And I think that Travis Etienne probably won't get that much work because they're going to be wanting to pass the ball a lot. So I think Mason Deserved It has an easy win this week, but we will see. Our fourth matchup of the week, Elon Equality versus Jack's team. Obviously, Jack's team is projected 14 points higher than Elon Equality, and when we head down to the teams here, you can definitely see why. I mean, Zach Charbonnet, even though he did put up like 23-ish points last week, Kenneth Walker's going to be back. He's only projected 8. I don't think that they're going to be using him that much against this Detroit run defense, which is, I think, one of the top 3 run defenses in the league. Devontae Adams could get some points. Rashid Shaheed, he's definitely one of those boom or bust players. If he hits, he's going to hit. We'll see how he does. I think that AJ Terrell is going to be mainly on Chris Olave this week, so I think we could see a big week from Rashid Shaheed. But I'm tempering my expectations because I don't want Derek Carr to completely crap the bed when they go up against a somewhat formidable team in this Atlanta defense. C.J. Stroud, I think that he is going to absolutely go off against this Jacksonville defense. Jacksonville just got demolished by Josh Allen. And while I don't think C.J. Stroud is as good as Josh Allen, I think that his weapons might be a little bit better. And so I could see a very heavy passing game. I'm not too sure about what Joe Mixon is looking like for next week, whether he's still questionable, whether Cam Akers is going to play. I know with a high ankle sprain, it could take a couple weeks to get Joe Mixon back into the loop, but I think that C.J. Stroud will put up big points. And then we move on to Jack's team. I mean, Josh Allen just put up another legendary performance against the Jaguars last week. He's ranked as a QB1, and that's for a reason. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is going to struggle a little bit against the Pittsburgh defense. I mean, Pittsburgh's defense has absolutely killed it this year. I think maybe allowing the Chargers to get to double digits, but not many other teams. J.K. Dobbins is an interesting piece, especially with Justin Herbert hurt. I think that he could go off, but I think that the Chiefs will game plan for a little bit more. Chris Jones might play a bigger factor into this Chiefs game than the Chiefs offense will. Um, Stephon Diggs, same thing as C.J. Stroud. I think he's going to do pretty good against this Jacksonville team. He hasn't put up these amazing Stephon Diggs numbers that we've seen with him and Josh Allen, but I think that he's filling his role in Houston and he's doing a good job of catching the ball when he gets the look and getting open and really being this veteran leadership that Houston receiving corps kind of needs. Calvin Ridley, I'm a little bit wary of just because I don't trust Will Levis to get the job done. Colby Parkinson, I haven't really seen too much on. I know he's pretty solid floor tight end. And then Derrick Henry against that Swiss cheese of a Dallas Cowboys offense, put up 30 points last week. I could see him going for a lot. I think they're going to try and run it through Buffalo. I don't see a big passing game out of Lamar Jackson. I think that's going to be a pretty even game, and they won't need to feel pressured to pass it in this game. I think that Jack's team will get the win for sure, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Sam's team put up some big points with Rashid Shaheed and C.J. Stroud this week. And then finally moving on to Jack Goff versus Deeper. As you can see, Deeper is our second winless team, our first winless team being Palms Fantasia. And Jack Goff is 1 and 2. So 2 teams who have kind of been in the lower portion of the division. You can see that they're both projected 120 points. So this is going to be the matchup of the week to watch. I think that it will come down to the wire. It will come down to, those late Sunday, those Monday night games. Looking at Jack Goff's team, Patrick Mahomes, he's kind of been off this year. I think that the Chargers may be kind of a get-right game for this Kansas City offense, who's kind of been lacking. I mean, they haven't really put up amazing numbers besides like Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco. Now that Isaiah Pacheco's hurt, not much we can do about that. James Cook looked amazing, has looked amazing. Baltimore's a little bit iffy, but I think that he'll put up some pretty decent points for this Buffalo offense. Ramondre Stevenson, after that 0.3 point week last week, I'm very scared about it, especially going up against the San Francisco defense, who is pretty good. I think we could see another dud week from Ramondre Stevenson. Chris Olave, like I said earlier about Rashid Shaheed, I think that A.J. Terrell will be covering him, and I think that Alvin Kamara is going to be less of an option this week. I think that Kamara is going to get the checkdowns, Shaheed's going to get the deep balls, but I don't think that Chris Olave is going to do that well this week. Marvin Harrison Jr. against this Washington defense, I think could put up near Juwan Jennings level numbers again. And then Mike Gesicki, he's been a solid floor tight end, getting a couple catches, getting 40-ish yards a game, pretty solid. And Malik Neighbors against this Dallas defense. Malik Neighbors has a beef with Trayvon Diggs, and I think that a lot of people are underestimating this Giants offense. I think that the Giants offense may be kind of bad, but I think if they throw the ball to Malik Neighbors and they run it a little bit with Devin Singletary, they'll be completely fine. Then moving on to Deeper's team, Dak Prescott against the Giants defense, going to eat. He's going to get a ton of points. This Giants defense, while they have a good run defense, kind of, their passing defense is only so-so. Bijan Robinson, I'm a little wary of. I don't think that he'll hit his projection of 20.1 points, but I think that he still could do pretty good, around 15-ish points against this New Orleans defense. this New Orleans defense did give up that big 60-yard run to Saquon Barkley, but I think that they're going to recognize that Bijan Robinson is the number one option in this Atlanta offense, so that they really need to focus him. Aaron Jones against Green Bay, the revenge game of Aaron Jones. I've seen the Aaron Jones letter to Green Bay fans. I've seen Aaron Jones planning to do the Lambeau leap whenever he scores a touchdown. I think that Aaron Jones could put up about what he's projected. I think that he could put up around 16 points. I don't see him going for another 20 piece like he did last week, but I could see him having a pretty solid game against this pretty decent Green Bay defense. DJ Moore, he saw a lot of volume last week just because Caleb was passing 52 times in the game. I think against this LA Rams team, they are going to get it done. I mean, we just saw what Juwan Jennings did. You got to be a little bit wary because of what Cole Kmet and Rome Odunze did, but I think DJ Moore is still the number one option in this offense. I think that he will put up some big points against this LA Rams team. Deontay Johnson had an amazing week last week. I think Andy Dalton is going to revitalize this Panthers team. I could see this Panthers team, unfortunately, beating my precious Cincinnati Bengals. But we'll just have to see how the game script goes, if they want to run it with Chuba Hubbard, or if they want to pass it, or if they want to do a combination. And then Garrett Wilson against Denver. I am very, very scared of Garrett Wilson this week. I don't think that he'll do too badly. I think that 13.7 is a little bit generous. I think he could get a couple catches, could get some yards. I don't see him getting into the end zone, and I don't see him putting more than 60, 65 yards up. I think that it's going to be a Allen Lazard, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen game. I don't have much faith in Garrett Wilson this week. And that is our Week 4 standings. We will see you back on Friday with reactions to the Thursday Night Football game and see where our teams are sat at after that Thursday Night Football game. I know a couple people don't really have any players in that game, but we'll really go through the players that do. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. Peace.